Welcome, Saskia. I have the chance to have Saskia Verstege with me today, and really a pleasure to have you with us.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So maybe to start, I'd love to maybe have a quick introduction for you, and how did you get to lead Tech Grounds?
Yes, of course. So I'm Saskia. I'm Dutch. I started getting involved in tech rounds around 3.5 years ago, when we actually started the idea of the company. I got a background in economics. I set up a student venture capital fund in Amsterdam to invest in student startups. And that's how I got to know the startup tech ecosystem. And I realized the lack of IT talent, the lack of diversity, and the issue of being in a quite closed ecosystem. And that's when I met one of the founders of Tech Rounds, and I heard about the idea of what they do. So I decided to get involved.
Yeah, so you're attacking one of the biggest problems in tech ecosystems, the lack of diversity and inclusion. Can you tell us how you address this problem?
Yes. So what we do is our mission is to solve the mismatch in the IT labor market. And how we do that is by activating hidden talent to IT, as we call it. We call it hidden talent because it's super broad, but basically people who are now unemployed or underemployed, as we say, so working below their level, that maybe have no idea about IT and all the jobs that are there in tech, or that do know about tech but simply have no idea how to get into it because they think, well, I don't have a degree, or I don't have 5,000 euros to spend on some kind of boot camp, so I'll just leave it and don't start a career in it. What we do is that we activate those people and help them start a career in IT by a sort of two-step approach where we help them orientate what IT has to offer. So we have a unique overview of the IT labor market, all the jobs that are out there, all the starting jobs that you can do after you reskill into IT. And we help them find the right fit for them. And then we also have our academy. After they know which job they want to start, we have our own academy to also get them reskilled in as short as possible amount of time, so 3 to 6 months, to actually get them a job. So they can start a program for free with a job guarantee to really make sure people from underrepresented groups who normally don't go into IT can actually start their career as a junior tech specialist.
That's amazing. And I understand you've been having really amazing results. Can you share some of this big impact you're having?
Yes, so we've been working for 3.5 years now, and a lot of learning in the beginning, a lot of figuring out what's the right way to do it. But in total, I think we've reached over 1,000 people with our different programs and different events to tell them about what IT is and what they can do for them throughout the Netherlands, so in the big cities, but also in smaller villages. So I think that's maybe already 10,000 people that we reach with that. We've had 750 people follow our orientation program to actually figure out, hey, what fits for me? How can I start my career? And we've already trained 350 people ourselves with our academy with a job guarantee to get them in a job. And the other people who followed our orientation program have followed IT programs with other IT educators in the country or in the cities to help them get a job as well.
And what's your placement rate when they graduate?
So I think that's a big difference in one of the things we learned. So we now work with a job guarantee. So we match the students with employers beforehand. When we first started, we didn't do that. So we were just excited thinking, hey, everyone from a diverse background, underrepresented groups that wants to go into IT, let's go, we'll train you, we'll help you get a job. And then we kind of realized, hey, this isn't really working because employers are looking for something a bit different. A lot of students stayed unemployed, which felt really bad. In a way, we were creating our own mismatch. So after 1.5 years, we decided, hey, let's flip the model around. Let's start by getting the employers on board and making sure that they look at talent differently so that they will actually hire our students. And then if they say, hey, I'm looking for 2 cloud engineers, we figure out, okay, then what makes a good junior cloud engineer for you? Then we start getting the students on board, and then we start educating them with a job guarantee. So I think in the beginning, it was maybe 60%, and now we're really seeing it grown to 80, 85%, which we want to, of course, get to 100 in the end. But it's been a major shift in our placement rate. And in the end, the number of people we didn't just educate, but really got them a sustainable job.
Wow. So you mean you take people who don't have a degree in tech, don't have software engineering or developers, and never worked in tech, and you train them for only 3 to 6 months, and then you place them in a good job. And what are those salaries that you get, and what does it represent for the people in this program? Are they doubling their salaries? Are they increasing their salary by 50%?
Yeah, I think a partner organization of us has actually done a research on that, that the average salaries has increased almost, it almost has doubled.
Wow.
And it really depends per person, but in the end, you see there are so many people who are currently unemployed, so just only have their social welfare, which isn't that much, or they're working below their level, so they're a bit more at minimum wage. Well, you see that actually they have really good personal skills, really good soft skills, and they really, if they have the working thinking level, can easily start as a developer, a tester, an IT consultant, you name it, and join in on the growth of that labor market that is happening to not only, benefit their own lives and create that financially sustainable life, but also to add really diversity to the IT teams, which you in the end need if the industry is growing as well.
Wow. Can you give us a couple of maybe real life example, one or two people that has really, marked you that you thought, wow, we're really changing people's lives?
Yes, I have a lot, because there's in the end that's definitely what you do it for, the stories of the students. I think one of what always makes the biggest impact is also how this shift of the students happened in how they got a job in the end. I think one impactful story is one of our students who joined our development program. I think it's free to say, because he also shared it in our own magazine. He used to be addicted to smoking weed for a while. He used to work in coffee shops for quite some years. And then after a few years of having that, he said, hey, I'm switching my mindset. I'm making changes to my life and going into a different direction. He got clean on his own, went to rehab, and then decided to look for a job in IT, which he've always found super interesting. But he didn't have a degree, and he had some kind of like gap in his resume, I guess. So through normal recruitment processes, he wouldn't actually get in, because like an average recruiter or HR manager would say, well, I guess you don't really fit the picture. I think he was like 35 years old. But in the end, he joined TechRounds, and he started working at one of our employers, because one of their employers actually said, well, if you manage to, from this background, make that switch, change your life, and completely learn a new skill at the age of 35 and have that motivation to start your career, you're so ambitious and so motivated and so driven that actually is so useful and valuable for our team. We want you in our team. And that, he said it himself, like that really made a difference to his life. And I later heard that on the day he applied for TechRounds to join one of our programs, he also applied for I think it's like an order picker vacancy in like a distribution warehouse that he used to do when he was 16, because he figured, well, after so many rejections, at least I then have a job, so I'll just do that. And so if he wouldn't have gotten this way and actually changed his life would look completely different. And I think that's a really good example of the motivation reskillers have and the motivation our target group has, but at the same time, the impact that it has if a company looks at talent differently and gets someone like that on board.
Wow. And I imagine he makes more than twice his salaries that he would do, right?
I imagine, yes, definitely, probably. I haven't asked, but I can definitely imagine that's at least double. Yeah.
It's amazing. And do you think this is something that can be applied to other countries, to any country?
Yes, I definitely think so. So our, especially the first program, so that basically this two-step approach, where the first one is orientation and helping people realize what the IT labor market is and realize what it can do for them. I think in the end, the problem of lack of IT talent, lack of diversity in tech, and at the same time, all this hidden talent, I think you see that in every country. I think you see that in all the major cities, in all the startup hubs. So the program is definitely applicable, and you will have to see how different the IT labor market changes in every country. But the model in itself and the problem you solve and impact you make, I think that's absolutely needed in way more cities and way more countries. We can activate that.
Yeah, I agree. And what would you say to leaders who are listening and very impressed and say, wow, we should do this. Because for myself, as soon as I heard about this from Ruben, I thought best place in the world to do this is Oakland, next to San Francisco, the biggest job engine in the world, in a city that's not doing so well, where there's a lot of people unemployed and who are not really fulfilling their talent, right next door.
Sounds definitely good. Wouldn't mind going overseas. I think what I would say is that in the end, it always starts with employers in a way. I think there are a lot of people who are super motivated and super eager to start a career, and there are organizations, well, such as TechRounds, but I think there are also more internationally that can help with activating that hidden talent, and that can help with actually getting the people on board. In the end, I think it's really up to the employers and the leaders to look at talent differently and get them, start working with people from diverse backgrounds, from underrepresented groups, whether that's women or more cultural diversity, to invest in this new talent pool and get them on board. Because it's not only, it makes a huge impact on people's life, it's also needed because, with every year, we're going to need more tech talent. And just keep looking at universities and the seniors who now exist, we're not going to get there. And it's easier to get started than some people might think. Already with having one program, a few people getting a sustainable job, that's already a massive impact.
And what companies are those great employers that are supporting the program and participating actively?
We now have around 75 employers that are working together with us in the Netherlands, which are some of the bigger, such as Accenture, Capgemini, Rabobank, larger banks. But it really depends. It really differs. So some companies say, hey, I'm looking for 10 developers this year. Can we work together? Some smaller SMEs with 20, 30 employees that just need one ITer a year also work with us. So it's IT consultancy and customers. Really depends.
Tech companies also, AWS is still there, booking.com.
Yeah. So we also work with our larger, we call them technology partners. So the curriculums that we have of our training partners, we don't just make them ourselves. We work with the technology partners that also know what the companies need. So for example, AWS, Microsoft, Salesforce, they also see the skills gap occurring. So they really see, hey, our software is being sold, but in a few years or in a few months, maybe we're not going to have enough people to actually implement that software. So we work together with them to see what companies need from new talent and how we can make a curriculum with their expertise as well to get people going as quick as possible into a job.
Well, that's fascinating, and I invite everybody who wants to know more, to reach out to me or to you. And really, this is something that, as you said, every big tech ecosystem and even medium-sized ecosystem needs to increase diversity and inclusion. Thank you for doing this and showing the way to the rest of us that it's possible. It can be successful. And thank you, Saskia. Great to have you.
Perfect. Thanks so much.